Yes, hypocrisy alert. While President-elect Donald Trump is being criticized for some of his administration picks, the mainstream media has been ignoring a lawmaker who's had some radical views and could potentially be the next DNC Chairman, Congressman Keith Ellison of Minnesota. Let's bring in Dan Gaynor to talk about it. He's Vice President of Business and Culture at the Media Research Center. Good morning, Dan. I find it interesting in terms of, we've seen this with Jeff Sessions now as the nominee for Attorney General. Immediately, New York Times editorial page saying he said horrible things 20, 30 years ago, so he should not be Attorney General. But meanwhile, Keith Ellison has said some pretty radical things.
Yeah, this is the media going about their borking. They've learned nothing. They've gone from borking to banning Bannon. That's no change at all. You look at Keith Ellison, he got about 1/20th the coverage that Bannon got. Did a little over 2 minutes. None of it was negative. You played the clip that you could hear. That's where he compares 9/11 to the Reichstag fire, which was set, and so that's basically that's 9/11 trutherism.
Let's talk about that coverage, right? You see Steve Bannon and his controversial comments and his work at Breitbart. 41 minutes of coverage, 74% of it negative on the big three networks. Keith Ellison, 2 minutes of coverage, 0% negative, all just saying, hey, he wants to be the DNC chairman, not mentioning what he said in 2007. Roll it.
Yeah.
I mean, 9/11 explains why we're in this war. We could never be in this war but for 9/11. We could never be tolerating torture but for 9/11.
Yeah, and pretty controversial thing to say there.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at, there's a whole passel of things that he said are controversial. He's anti-Israel. He's called Israel an apartheid state. He's defended, crazy Louis Farrakhan, who is an anti-Semite. He's, obviously these comments, he's doctrinaire liberal, 4% ACU rating out of 100, and then you look at this. He's got ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, and once you're tied to the Muslim Brotherhood, that's one step next to Hamas. You just have to ask the Egyptians how awful that is.
Well, Dan, 30 seconds for you. Chuck Schumer, the Democrat from right here in New York, he's the incoming Senate Democratic leader. He is somebody who's supporting Keith Ellison for DNC chair. Jewish leaders here in New York are saying, pull that back. Do you think he's going to pull it back?
Of course not. We live in obviously there's no media push for it all. Joy Reid goes on the Today Show and says he's an ideal candidate. The media don't want to dig into it because they're too politically correct.
Dan Gaynor, we appreciate your insights this morning.
Thank you.
When she was first starting out, her coach said she wasn't good enough.